Welcome to Retirement Ramblings. I'm Scott, and today is day 180 in my countdown to retirement. So this morning I received an email from the New York Times, and it had a picture of President Trump signing the big beautiful bill into law in a 4th of July ceremony. And while Trump said that he was going to remove taxes from Social Security on seniors, what actually got signed into law was a special 4-year additional deduction of $6,000 per individual or $12,000 for married couples filing jointly for taxpayers age 65 and older. So this deduction, which is effective for tax years 2025 through 2028, reduces taxable income and is designated to offset taxes, so from Social Security benefits and other income. So it is expected to benefit about 88% of Social Security beneficiaries. So the deduction, though, begins to phase out for individuals with a modified adjusted gross income above $75,000 for single filers and above $150,000 for married filing joint. And it's fully phased out at $175,000 for individuals and $250,000 for couples. For example, a senior in the 12% tax bracket could save approximately $720 annually through this deduction. And then this provision was added to reduce the cost of the overall bill. So had Trump actually implemented the no taxes on Social Security income, like he had said, it was estimated to cost $1.4 trillion over 10 years. So this was kind of a middle ground implementation. Anyway, after getting that email, I did my weekly financial review, and we ended up for the week 1.59%, which was the same improvement that we got last week. So 2 weeks in a row, that's pretty awesome. So we're now up 7.05% in our portfolio in aggregate year to date. So I'm very happy with that. Then the market as a whole ended the week up. The Dow finished up 2.3% at 44,829. The S&P 500 was up 1.7% to 6279, which is a new closing record high. The NASDAQ was up 1.6% to 20,601. And the Russell 2000 was up 3.5% to 2249. And I didn't have time to go look it up, but I'm pretty sure that the Russell is now positive for the year, but not by any significant margin. So I'm pretty sure it's less than 1% if they are positive, but I do think it's positive finally for the year. And then the only sector of the S&P 500 that was down for the week was telecom, and it was down 0.2%. And then, excuse me, WTI crude was up 1.5% to 66.49 a barrel. Gold was up 1.8% to 33.4650 a troy ounce. Natural gas continues to decline, and this week it was down 9.3% to $3.39. And then international markets this week were mixed, with China being the big gainer, up 1.4% to 34.72, and Hong Kong being the laggard for the week, down 1.5% to 23.916. So after doing the financial analysis, I went out to my raised garden bed and I pruned the plants in the beds, because given how hot it's been and the sun has just been brutal on the plants, so especially the tomato plants. So I've tried to keep the plants all hydrated, so I water them every day, but doesn't seem to matter. So anyway, I had to prune off a bunch of dead or dying leaves and segments on the plants. So I took care of that today, and so hopefully that'll make it a little easier for the plants to continue to grow. Then after doing that, I baked 3 split chicken breasts for lunch. One of them I ate for lunch, and that was followed by making 5 pasture-raised eggs, yolks, just the yolks, like I did the other day. And then I took, those whites and I added them to the prior whites that I had. And then after making my lunch, I went and my wife wanted me to color her hair. So I colored her hair, which then processed for like 45 minutes. She then took her shower and washed the coloring out or whatever. And then she was able to then see how the hairstylist had cut her hair, and she wasn't happy with the way the bangs were and the way that the back was. So she asked me to make adjustments, which I did. And then presumably I'll highlight it tomorrow. I'll probably end up highlighting it tomorrow. Then I took the 11 egg whites that I had been saving in the mason jar, and I made sugar-free meringue from that, and then I put that in the fridge to cool, and I'll try it out later to see how it is. Given that it's sugar-free, I don't have high hopes for for it, other than it'll be a an airy type of dessert, almost like a mousse. But I'm not sure what flavoring I would be able to add to it. Maybe I could put a teeny bit of like ground cinnamon over the top or something. I don't know. I'll futz with this, see what I can do. Anyway, then I watched a video from Aaron over at Aaron Talks Money, and it was titled "Past $6,000 Senior Tax Break and More. What's in the One Big Beautiful Bill Sent to Trump?" Where she does a reasonable, and by the way, links will be in the description, where she does a reasonable job explaining what the big, beautiful big bill contains. And really, I thought she did a good job. My only issue with the video was her explanation of Medicaid changes and SNAP cuts. And I continue to hear this, and again, this isn't a political channel, and I'm not trying to be political in any way. I just like people to know the facts and not these ridiculous sound bites that people keep saying. So when you actually get into it, what you find is, and as she stated, the bill introduces significant changes to Medicaid, including work requirements for recipients age 19 to 64. So those of us, like myself, who are under 65, if I was on Medicaid, I would have to be able to work 80 hours per month, unless I was exempt. And I'll talk to you about what the exemptions are in just a second. And there's more frequent re-enrollment periods. So you've got to go re-enroll every 6 months, and you have to verify your income and residency each time you re-enroll to make sure, that you haven't moved, that you're still getting, you're still in the same position and that you deserve to get Medicaid. So what are the exemptions, you may ask? Well, one is age-based. So obviously, if you're 65 or older, you're automatically exempt from the work requirements. So if you're on Medicaid and you're over 65, nothing changes for you. Let's just start with that. And since seniors rely on Medicaid for healthcare, long-term care, and Medicare premium assistance through the Qualified Medicare Beneficiary Program, none of you would be subject to any changes with Medicaid. The other exemption is disability or medical frailty. So recipients with disabilities or serious health conditions that prevent them from working are exempt. That includes seniors under 65 who qualify for Medicaid due to disabilities, i.e., those that are receiving Supplemental Security Income, SSI, documentation such as a doctor's certificate or proof of SSI enrollment is required for eligibility. The next exemption is for caregiving responsibilities. So those individuals who are caregivers for a dependent child under 6 years of age or a disabled family member of any age are exempt from the work requirement. And then The next one would be pregnancy or postpartum status. So pregnant women and those in the postpartum period, which is typically considered 12 months after childbirth, are also exempt. And then there's certain other enrollment in certain other programs. So recipients such participating in specific federal and state programs such as unemployment benefits with active job search requirements or certain rehabilitation programs may be exempt as well. And then there are some other circumstances where the states have some flexibility to define additional exemptions, such as for individuals experiencing homelessness, those in areas with high unemployment, or those facing temporary hardships like natural disasters. However, these are going to vary by state. So, and they'll require some kind of documentation. So, most seniors on Medicaid are unaffected by the work requirements due to the age exemption. Approximately 7 million seniors are enrolled in Medicaid, primarily for long-term care or Medicare cost sharing. And again, those over 65 are fully exempt. Younger seniors, 60 to 64, who rely on Medicare due to low income must meet their work requirement unless they qualify for another exemption, such as disability or caregiving. Failure to comply with this will be a loss of coverage. So, as Erin states in her video, the Congressional Budget Office estimates that these cuts could lead to 12 million people losing health insurance by 2034. For example, 1.4 million seniors could lose, and here is the key, assistance with Medicare Part B premiums, which would cost them an extra $185 per month, which means that those seniors that are on Medicaid would need to pay the same premium as those of us on Medicare, right? So they don't lose their health care, they just have to pay for it. So, at the $185 per month. And again, it assumes that you're able-bodied. If you're not, then you're exempt. And then as for the SNAP function or the food stamps provision, the bill expands work requirements to able-bodied adults aged 19 to 64. The recipients in this age group must work or engage in qualifying activities, which include job training, volunteering, and educational programs for at least 80 hours per month to maintain their SNAP eligibility. Previously, SNAP work requirements applied to able-bodied adults without dependents that were 18 to 49 years old. And some states had extended the age up to 52. But the new law broadens this to age 64. So it will impact, younger seniors, 60 to 64. The exemptions for the work requirement exactly match those for Medicaid that I just talked about. And then states are required to begin implementing work requirements for SNAP starting in 2026. So they start next year, and full compliance is required by 2028. So this gives states a bunch of time to set up verification systems, but also delays the impact on seniors. So hopefully that, if you watch your video, that will clarify those 2 points. But otherwise, I thought her video was very good. And then after that, I did a Costco run because I needed to pick up some better than bullion beef base. And Costco is significantly cheaper than anywhere else. It's almost like 50% cheaper for that particular product. So and while I was there, I checked out the meat prices, and every time I'm there, it blows my mind that the meat prices at Costco are as high as they are versus like some other stores. It used to be that I would always get my meat at Costco because it was always cheaper. But now, just as an example, top sirloin, which used to be, a year ago, top sirloin was under $8.99 a pound, and now it's sitting at $10.99 a pound. So, that extra $2 a pound just seems ridiculous to me for that particular cut of meat. But I do understand, at least from news reports, that the cattle or livestock, herds have been thinned out because um, farmers or ranchers, I should say, have had to figure out, because the grasslands were limited, how many heads of cattle they could actually raise, and so they've cut back, and it'll take several years till the herds rebuild. Kind of like what happened with chickens and the avian bird flu thing. Anyway, then I went to Publix because my wife needed to pick up a prescription. And then after that, I went over to Home Depot and picked up 2 gallons of Behr paint so we can paint our guest room. And when I say we, I really mean my wife, because she's the painter in our household. Freaking hate painting. And then I made a porterhouse steak for dinner, which I split with my wife. And she also had a medium salad. And my goal is to just kind of chill out this evening and possibly watch a movie or two. Um, so that's my update for today. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them in the comment section down below, or drop me an email at myretirementramblings@gmail.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great evening, and until tomorrow, take care.